What if everything you've been told about protein is incomplete? What if some of the most powerful protein sources on Earth aren't found in a butcher shop, a grocery store, or even a supplement aisle? What if they're growing quietly in gardens, backyards, and small containers all around the world, producing food year after year with almost no effort? Most people believe meat is the ultimate protein food. But there are plants that can produce incredible amounts of protein while also giving you vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and long-term food security. And some of them can keep feeding you for decades after a single planting. Today, we're counting down 10 amazing plants that contain surprisingly high levels of protein and could completely change the way you think about food. Make sure you stay until the end because the number one plant shocks almost everyone who learns about it. And before we begin, if you're passionate about natural health, self-sufficiency, and biblical wisdom for modern living, subscribe to Goddess Health Code and turn on notifications so you never miss a future video. Now let's begin. Most people never think about where their protein comes from. They simply assume they need more meat, more supplements, or more expensive products. But throughout history, entire civilizations thrived on plant-based foods that provided substantial amounts of protein. These plants didn't just help people survive. They helped communities grow strong, healthy, and resilient. And unlike many modern foods, they often required very little maintenance once established. That's what makes today's list so powerful. We're not talking about trendy superfoods that disappear next year. We're talking about plants that have stood the test of time. Let's start with a plant that surprises almost everyone. Moringa is often called the miracle tree, and once you understand why, you'll never look at it the same way again. Native to parts of Africa and Asia, moringa grows incredibly fast and produces leaves that are packed with nutrients. Gram for gram, moringa leaves contain an impressive amount of protein along with calcium, potassium, iron, and vitamin A. The leaves can be eaten fresh, dried into powder, added to soups, blended into smoothies, or mixed into many different meals. What makes moringa special is that nearly every part of the tree has value. The leaves are nutritious, the seeds are useful, and the tree itself can tolerate drought conditions that would kill many other crops. Once established, it continues producing again and again. In many regions, families rely on moringa as a consistent source of nutrition year-round. Yet in much of the world, people have never even heard of it. Now imagine walking into your backyard and harvesting protein-rich food from a plant that most people treat like a decorative flower. That's exactly what happens with amaranth. Many gardeners grow amaranth because it's beautiful. Its vibrant colors and towering flower heads attract attention immediately. But hidden inside those seed heads is a nutritional powerhouse. Amaranth seeds contain impressive levels of protein and are considered a complete protein source because they contain all essential amino acids. That's rare among plants. Ancient civilizations valued amaranth so highly that it became a staple food for entire populations. The leaves are edible too, giving you two separate food sources from one plant. While many modern foods require constant purchasing, amaranth often reseeds itself naturally, meaning one successful planting can lead to years of future harvests. The next plant might already be growing in your area without you realizing its true value. Purslane is often pulled out of gardens as a weed. People spend time and energy removing it, never knowing they're throwing away one of nature's most nutrient-dense plants. Purslane contains protein, minerals, antioxidants, and remarkable levels of omega-3 fatty acids, something rarely found in plants. It grows aggressively, survives difficult conditions, and requires almost no maintenance. Some people spend hundreds of dollars every year on health supplements, while purslane quietly grows for free between cracks in sidewalks and garden beds. Once you learn how to identify it, you'll begin seeing it everywhere. But here's something even more interesting. Some of the highest protein plants aren't vegetables at all. They're tree leaves. One example is the kaduk plant, a leafy perennial that has become popular in certain parts of the world because of its protein-rich foliage. Haddock grows continuously in warm climates, producing edible leaves that can be harvested repeatedly. Unlike annual crops that need to be replanted every season, haddock keeps producing as long as conditions remain favorable. Imagine planting once and harvesting nutritious leaves month after month, year after year. That's the kind of long-term food security many people dream about. As we continue down this list, you'll notice a pattern. The most valuable plants often receive the least attention. That's certainly true for pigeon peas. This hardy plant produces edible peas loaded with protein and can thrive in challenging conditions. Pigeon peas improve soil health, tolerate drought, and provide a reliable harvest where many other crops struggle. In some regions, they serve as both a food crop and a soil-building plant at the same time. That means you're improving your garden while also growing nutritious food. Few plants can claim both benefits. Even more impressive, pigeon pea plants can continue producing for several years, making them an excellent choice for anyone interested in long-term food production. Now think about this for a moment. What if your backyard contained a collection of plants that not only produced protein, but also reduced your dependence on grocery stores? What if every season brought new harvests without requiring constant spending? That's the real power of the plants we're discussing today. They're not just food. They're a form of resilience. They give families options. They provide nutrition during difficult times. And perhaps most importantly, they reconnect us with the natural systems that have sustained humanity for thousands of years. The next plant on our list is one of the oldest cultivated crops in human history. Lentils have been feeding people for thousands of years and remain one of the most protein-rich plant foods available. While many people think of lentils as something purchased dry from a store, they actually come from a hardy plant that can be grown in many climates. Lentils offer an excellent balance of protein, fiber, and minerals. They help support steady energy levels and are incredibly versatile in cooking. Throughout history, they were valued not only because they were nutritious, but because they stored well and remained useful long after harvest. In a world increasingly dependent on convenience foods, lentils remind us that simple foods often provide the greatest benefits. But the story gets even more fascinating from here. Because the next plants on our countdown don't just compete with meat in protein content. Some of them may completely change how you think about sustainable food production forever. Stay with me because in Part 2, we're revealing the top 5 plants on this list, including a protein powerhouse that many experts believe could play a major role in the future of global nutrition. And trust me, the number 1 plant is something most people have never seriously considered, even though it may be one of the smartest food-growing investments you can make. Let's continue our countdown. Up to this point, we've already seen plants that most people overlook despite their incredible nutritional value. But now we're entering the top 5, and these plants are where things become truly fascinating. Some of them have fed civilizations, survived harsh environments, and continue producing food year after year with very little input. If you've ever wanted a garden that works harder for you, these next plants deserve your attention. At number 5, we have chickpeas. Most people know them as the main ingredient in hummus, but few realize how impressive they are from a nutritional perspective. Chickpeas contain substantial amounts of protein, fiber, and important minerals. They help support steady energy levels and can be used in countless recipes. But what makes chickpeas particularly valuable is their ability to improve soil health. Like several other legumes, they work with beneficial bacteria to help capture nitrogen from the air and store it in the soil. That means they don't just feed you, they help feed the garden itself. Farmers have used this principle for generations because healthy soil produces healthier crops. Imagine growing a plant that supports your future harvests while also providing protein-rich food for your family. That's a powerful combination. Now let's move to number 4, and this plant may be one of the most underrated food sources on Earth. We're talking about the humble soybean. While soy has become a controversial topic in some circles, there's no denying its incredible protein content. In fact, soybeans are among the highest protein plant foods available. Entire cultures have relied on them for centuries. They can be transformed into tofu, tempeh, soy milk, and many other foods. But beyond their versatility, soybeans demonstrate something important. Plants can provide serious nutrition. They aren't simply side dishes. They can be foundational foods that help sustain entire populations. That's why soy remains one of the most widely grown crops in the world. When people talk about feeding large populations sustainably, soybeans are almost always part of the conversation. But the next plant takes things to another level because it's not just a crop, it's a tree. Number 3 is the mesquite tree. Most people know mesquite because of barbecue flavoring, but very few understand its nutritional value. Mesquite trees produce seed pods that can be ground into a naturally sweet flour containing protein, fiber, and minerals. Indigenous communities valued mesquite for generations because it provided reliable nutrition in harsh environments where other food sources struggled. What makes mesquite remarkable is its resilience. Once established, these trees can survive extreme drought conditions and continue producing for decades. Think about that. One tree can provide harvests for years, sometimes generations. In a world where many crops require constant attention and replanting, mesquite represents the power of long-term food production. Now we're down to the final 2, and these plants reveal why so many people are rethinking what a productive garden can look like. Number 2 is the perennial peanut. Despite its name, this isn't the same peanut commonly found in grocery stores. It's a perennial plant that produces protein-rich forage and improves soil health at the same time. What's fascinating about perennial systems is that they remove one of the biggest challenges gardeners face: constant replanting. Every year, countless hours are spent starting seeds, preparing beds, and replacing crops. Perennial plants eliminate much of that work. They establish deep roots, become more resilient over time, and continue producing season after season. That's one reason many experts believe perennial food systems may play an important role in the future of sustainable agriculture. And now we've reached number 1. This is the plant that surprises almost everyone. A plant so productive, so nutritious, and so overlooked that many people walk right past it without understanding its true potential. Number 1 is the breadfruit tree. Breadfruit has been feeding communities for centuries across tropical regions. A single mature tree can produce hundreds of pounds of food each year. While breadfruit itself isn't higher in protein than every plant on this list, its overall productivity is what earns it the top position. When you combine the amount of food produced, the nutritional value, the long lifespan of the tree, and the minimal maintenance required once established, breadfruit becomes one of the most efficient food-producing plants on Earth. Some trees continue producing for decades. Imagine planting one tree today and still harvesting from it years from now. That's not just gardening, that's creating a legacy. But here's the bigger lesson hidden inside today's countdown. The future of food may not be about finding some revolutionary new product. It may be about rediscovering plants that humanity has known about all along. Plants that provide protein, resilience, sustainability, and nutrition without requiring massive industrial systems. For thousands of years, people relied on these kinds of foods. They understood the value of growing diverse crops, planting for the future, and working with nature instead of against it. Today, many people have become disconnected from that knowledge. We assume food comes from stores. We assume nutrition comes from supplements. We assume the answers must be complicated. But often the most powerful solutions are surprisingly simple. A seed planted today can become food tomorrow. A tree planted this year can feed people for decades. A garden can become far more than a hobby. It can become a source of security, independence, and health. That's one of the reasons we created God's Health Code. This channel isn't just about plants. It's about rediscovering timeless wisdom that helps people build stronger, healthier lives. Every plant we've discussed today represents more than nutrition. It represents possibility. The possibility of producing your own food, the possibility of becoming less dependent on fragile systems, the possibility of creating abundance right where you live. And now, I want to hear from you. Which of these plants surprised you the most? Was it moringa, amaranth, purslane, mesquite, breadfruit, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below, because your experiences and ideas help this community grow. If you found value in today's video, share it with a friend or family member who loves gardening, natural health, or self-sufficiency. You never know whose life could change because of one piece of information. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Goddess Health Code and turn on notifications, so you never miss future videos about healing foods, powerful plants, biblical wisdom, and practical ways to improve your health naturally. Remember, some of the most valuable foods in the world aren't hidden in expensive stores. They're growing quietly in fields, gardens, and backyards, waiting for someone to recognize their potential. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.